welcome. I have some books I want to share with you that I've been reading. I decided to read by color. So I have a pile of books here that are all the same color, which is purple, and I read them. So I'm just going to go through and show you my pile. Here we go. This took me a little bit of time to get through, obviously, because some of them are full books and other ones of them are graphic novels, which were, of course, faster to read. So I'm just going to go through them and show you. This is the first of the books I finished in my reading in color. So, and the color that I'm reading is purple. So I chose several purple books that I have on my TBR and I started reading them. And this one was the first one that I finished. I had already started it actually, so it didn't take me that long to finish it. I had to do a glasses change because I can't read with my other glasses on, so I had to put my reading glasses on. So I'm just going to read you what this book is about. All right. Throughout history, monsters have appeared in popular culture as stand-ins for the non-conforming and the marginalized. Regulated to the shadows as objects of fear, revulsion, and hostility, these characters have long conjured fascination and self-identification in the LGBTQ+ community. And over time, monsters have become queer icons. The striking and playful stories and poems in the Queer Little Nightmares remove queer monsters from the subtext and place them front and center, subverting the horror gaze to celebrate ideas and identities feared and monster lit. Pushing back against the tropes that have historically been used to demonize, Queer Little Nightmares poses the question, what does it mean to be and to love a monster? David Lai and Daniel Zampronelli edited this book and got the stories and the poetry from many different authors. In the back, it has contributor biographies. It just goes through each of them and it gives them a little story about, their life and what, where they live, where they were born, why they wrote these stories, and some of their other works as well. It gives you, in case you're interested in some of their other works when you read this book. This book was excellent. And as far as anthologies go, it's hard to give an anthology 5 stars because just based on the way the book is done, there's going to be so many different poems and stories that it's hard to give every single one of them 5 stars. So most of the anthologies that I read that are quite good are 4 stars, just because it kind of goes that way. Some of the stories are 3, some of them are 5. There was definitely nothing lower than that in this book. There was nothing lower than a 3-star for me. I liked everything in this book. My favorite story in here is called And the Moon Spun Round Like a Top. That's my favorite story. And it is by Hiromi Goto. It's about menstruation. So in real life, what women have to deal with on a monthly basis is difficult. They have to worry about, is my blood going to offend someone? Am I going to stand up from my chair and have blood on my clothes? Is this, that? Oh my God, I have cramps. I have this. I can't go into work. Anyways, it's something that most women, not all women, have to go through. And this takes that feeling that you get and it makes it into kind of like a horror story, which is, I thought was very clever, very interesting, and I enjoyed it a lot. Second purple book that I read is Closed Casket, and this is a Hercule Poirot story by Sophie Hannah, so not by Agatha Christie, it's by Sophie Hannah. So she's using the characters of Agatha Christie in this book, Hercule Poirot. You probably know Mon Ami with his big mustache. The story in this book is there's a children's writer. She asked several people to come to her family home for a stay, so for like a week stay. And he invited Hercule Poirot as well as Edward Catchpole, I think his name is, and he's the inspector. So the inspector of this story is the one telling this story. So this is written from his point of view. So this woman, what's going on here is she wants to change her will. So she invites 2 lawyers, the detective, Hercule Poirot, as well as her children. She has a daughter and her fiance. and a son and his wife. And then within the house, there's the butler, of course, there's the cook, there's the maid, and there's also the nurse who is taking care of the secretary. So the secretary, Joseph, he is the one who she wants to change her will so he gets everything. The catch about that is that she's cutting her children out of the will, giving everything to Joseph, but Joseph is dying. So if Joseph is dying and he only has weeks to live, something's got to go down. Why would she change her will to give everything to a dying man who only has weeks to live? Well, the family would like to know too. It is a Hercule Poirot story, so there is a murder, of course. Honestly, I didn't get near as much Hercule Poirot as I would have preferred. I think it would have been way better to be from his point of view, just because he was either out of the room or out of the house or something. So I didn't really know what he was getting into, you know. I didn't know what his little gray cells were doing. So that would have been nice to have more context of. But in general, I did enjoy the book. It's a mystery. Did I figure it out? Well, yes and no. I kind of had an idea of where it was headed, but I couldn't really get the full motivation of it or exactly why. I kind of knew how here a little bit, you know, not fully. It's not like I'm some detective or something. So no. But I saw where it was going, so I wasn't surprised by, you know, the final verdict. But I did like, you know, the different stories that went into it, the different motivations, the different reasons, the history behind it. So you know what? I would recommend reading it if you enjoy Agatha Christie, if you enjoy Hercule Poirot. However, if you haven't read Agatha Christie, I would just go back and read her stuff because it's wonderful. You really can't beat it. This is just like in addition. If you've already read her stuff and you just want more, then I would recommend this. Otherwise, just go back to the original source and read Agatha because she is an amazing writer. She has done amazing stuff, and if you haven't read all her stuff, maybe do that first. We'll continue reading. I do have a few more that Sophie Hannah wrote. I'll just show you. I have these two that she wrote as well, also starring Hercule Poirot. See, this is The Monogram Murders and the Mystery of Three Quarters. I will read these, absolutely. I do love myself a good mystery. I used to read a lot of Agatha Christie and Dorothy Sayers, a lot of the old mystery books. I really enjoyed them, and I still do. So, did I enjoy this book? Yes. Would I recommend it? Well, if you haven't read Agatha Christie, I would kind of recommend going back and reading her work because it is really, really good. I also watched the entire series of Hercule Poirot, which is fantastic. Of course, there's so many Agatha Christie adaptations into TV and movies, so there is an endless amount of material that you can read and watch. But this one is good. I enjoyed it. If you have it and you haven't read it and you enjoy mysteries, then yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I would say going into it though, try not to just compare it. Like, don't do a side by side. Oh, is this better than Agatha Christie's? Because no. Is anything better than a good Agatha Christie? Probably not. So I would recommend going into this, just reading it as a novel on its own, a mystery on its own. Is it good? Yes. I think you will enjoy it if you like mysteries. This all takes place in the house or on the grounds around the house. The third purple book is Not the Witch You Wed. As you know from listening to my previous videos, I love things like this, little cozy mystery romance novels. This one's very sweet. I really did enjoy it. So the main character, we have Violet. So that matches the cover, which is nice. So Violet is a triplet. So there's three sisters, and she's technically the oldest of the triplets as she was born first. So technically she's supposed to be the one that inherits the title, but she didn't have powers. So therefore she couldn't inherit the title. So her younger sister the middle sister ends up taking the title. And so this story is about how Violet finds love and finds her magic, and how all the sisters learn to, you know, seek out what they want and not just, you know, go down the path that was made for them. There is a little bit of a mystery in here. There's some corruption in here. It's pretty sweet, pretty good. If you like witchy romances, or, you know, then you're gonna like this one. This is not just a witch. This is a witch and a werewolf, so that's always fun. Yeah, I would recommend this to those of you who like those types of books. I hope I didn't give anything away there. I don't think I did, but yes, recommend. All right. Next is a graphic novel. This is called Lonely Boys. This is about 3 roommates who live in Montreal. This is by a Canadian author and illustrator. Here, I'll just show you. I just opened a random page there. So this deals with 3 young girls in their early 20s, going through some different things. Each one of them is experiencing some different some different experiences. It discusses many different things. It discusses sex and friendship and forgiveness and anger. It discusses lots of things. I liked it. It wasn't necessarily my style of graphic novel. I didn't give it a 5-star, but that being said, it's still a sweet story. Not necessarily a coming of age story, because they're already, you know, in their 20s and living away from family. But it is a story about friendship, and not necessarily smooth sailing friendship. There's some turmoil in there as well. Some, you know, miscommunications, some anger, and some resentment. So it's a really quick read. So if you do have it, or if your local library has it and you want to pick it up, by all means, and support a Canadian author as well. So there you go, Lonely Boys. The next one I read is also a graphic novel, also by a Canadian author, and this is called This One Summer. This one I really, really liked. This is about 2 young girls. I don't know their exact ages. I'm going to guess like 13-ish or something. So one is 1.5 years younger, and so they meet every summer at the cottage. And this is a very Canadian book. So you can just see, like, there's Tim Hortons cups in the cars, and, you know, they're going up to a beach that, you know, we as Canadians, as Ontarians, I should say, being from Ontario, we have been to these beaches before and these lakes. So this is it's fun to read. And I don't know, maybe if you're not Canadian, maybe you wouldn't associate with it as well, but I think you would. I mean, youth is, you know, the same everywhere, and there's coming of age stories everywhere. So here we have 2 girls that are kind of in the middle of, you know, growing up. So they're kind of stuck between childhood and adolescence. So they're sort of going through that stage. So in here, you know, they're experimenting with some scary movies, for example. And then they go back to being like doing little kids things. And then they're back to talking about, you know, what is sex? Oh, are my boobies getting bigger? You know, things like that they're talking about dating. And then they go back and they do like some childish things, you know, and it's just very cute. And it just shows, you know, a little bit of childhood. And it just shows the different traumas also that their families go through. So it has a little bit of that in there as well. But kind of from the viewpoint of the kids. So like the parents are arguing or something, or the parents are going through something and the kids don't fully understand what's going on. So this is kind of through the viewpoint that they see it a little bit, which is quite interesting. So did I enjoy this? Absolutely did enjoy this. This is written by 2 cousins, one who lives in California and one who lives in Ontario. And their names are Mariko Tamaki and Jillian Tamaki. All right, this is written and illustrated by them. So I've just opened up to a random page there so you can see. It's really cute. It's really cute. Especially when the younger girl's like crunking, like it's adorable. Like even through the art, like the artist really gives you that visual, like what's going on. So you can just see her dancing around the room, you know, doing all her things. I don't know how to crunk, so I'm not even gonna try. That would not turn out well. No, I'm not gonna do that. You don't want me to do that. All right. This one I read is The Prince's Beard. First off, look at the cover. Gorgeous. This is written by Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearn. This is, I'm not sure how to describe this. I would say it's satire. It's more, it's it's funny. It's like Robin Hood Men in Tights, if you've seen that movie. This is kind of what I picture, kind of like that universe. Very silly, lots of puns, lots of silliness, interest, but anyways, kind of D&D characters. So this follows quite a few different characters who all come together for one reason or another. The title character, the Prince's Beard, she was locked away and she fell asleep under a spell. You don't find out everything until later. But when she fell asleep, when she wakes up, she has super crazy long hair, like just abnormally long. That's the way it is in this. Everything in this book is exaggerated and wonderful. So if you like that really corny, silly story, this is going to be the one for you. If you like Monty Python, this is for you. Okay, so she wakes up, she has a beard. She decides to keep her beard and change her name and change her identity and go on an adventure because she doesn't want to stay where she's being forced to marry someone against her will. And she just doesn't agree with what's going on. She's a princess, so she doesn't agree with the politics of her father and all that. So she decides to escape and just create an all new personality for herself. I shouldn't say an all new personality, an all new adventure, an all new persona. So she goes out and she ends up joining a pirate ship, which is very exciting. So this is also a pirate book. And there's so many different characters that have come from so many different walks of life. And for so many different reasons, they are leaving or trying to escape their life. So I can't lie, I am annoyed. I have tried to do this particular video about the purple books like 4 times. Something's happened. I either get called away for work, or someone needs me to drive them somewhere, or the dogs need me, or like just happened, I recorded the whole thing, went to edit it. Guess what? I didn't push record. Anyways. Okay, I guess practice makes perfect though, so let's do it again. So I was talking about the Prince's Beard, and then my husband called. So he's away. He works up in Moosonee sometimes. So he's up there for, I think, 10 to 12 days. So he calls, so of course I'm going to answer. He wanted to discuss all the yummy foods he's gonna make when he gets back. So it was very important, and I love it when he cooks. He loves cooking, so he gets very excited if he sees a new YouTube video from one of his favorite people that he follows. He'll want to try out their recipes right away, or sometimes he'll try the J. Kenji Lopez recipes from the book The Walk, which is a fantastic book. It's more of like a textbook versus a cookbook. It really teaches you stuff. He loves that one. So if he wants to make food, I'm in for it. He is great. So let me continue on with what I was talking about. The Prince's Beard. Just 1 minute. Okay, so as I was saying, this girl, she wakes up, her hair is crazy long, everything's exaggerated in this book. I don't even remember if that part recorded or not. But this is a group of kind of like a motley crew. We have characters who are coming from all different parts of this world. There is a really fun little map in here. I really enjoy books that have maps. So here's a map. So it shows, so we have these different characters coming from these different parts of the world. They're either escaping something or leaving behind a lifestyle that they didn't choose, or they don't agree with what society is the box that society is trying to fit them into. So they're all kind of misfits, and they all join together by chance on this ship, on this pirate ship. It's a pirate novel, which is exciting and wonderful because who doesn't love a pirate novel? This one is fantastic. It's fun. It's bonkers. So many fun things happen. So these are the adventures that this crew goes on, and the things that they do, the changes that are made, and the acceptance and self-acceptance that they discover. It's a beautiful story about self-love. And it's a beautiful story about people from all walks of life coming together and finding a true family. Even when your own family doesn't accept you, you make your own family. And this is a beautiful book about that. I would highly recommend it. D&D characters, this one has a lot of fun. This has a centaur, it has an elf, trolls, it has all sorts of things in it. So you should read this book. It's great. All right. All right, so the next book that I read, I don't think I reviewed this one yet. This book is Jamila Green Ruins Everything. Woohoo! This one is fantastic. This is satire. This is about a Muslim woman. She's married. She has a kid. She's sort of lost her faith along the way. She wrote an autobiography. And her autobiography, she really wants it to become a bestseller. So what she does is she goes to her local mosque that her daughter attends, and she asks the imam, please help me. I want my book to be a bestseller. Now, she does go for, her motives are pretty self-indulgent. She wants a bestseller, like that's what she wants. So she wants the imam to pray to make God make her book a bestseller. She's like, what can I do to convince Allah to make my book a bestseller? So she decides she's going to go feed the homeless. So she goes out with the imam and she ends up meeting this homeless guy who the imam brings back to his place and just basically invites him to live with him. And because he is such a kind-hearted man, like the imam in this story is so sweet. What a great, well-written religious leader, because I don't usually like stories about religious leaders because they often make them very creepy, and they make them the bad guy. And you know what? Oftentimes in real life that can be the case. So it is nice to see such a sweet, genuine person, a sweet, genuine character in this role. It was very refreshing and sweet. I'm not religious myself. I have had bad experiences with religion, especially organized religion. That being said, it is nice to see a character that is portrayed in such a positive, wonderful way. Anyways, so she goes, so the imam invites this homeless guy back to live with him. He ends up robbing him and then joining what is basically ISIS, but in this book is Dick, D-I-C-K. This is a book of satire, so it goes hard into the satire. And then, so she goes with the imam to the police station to report the theft of the money and the fact that they feel someone is joining this terrorist group. And of course, things don't go well from there. So the imam ends up getting basically kidnapped by the CIA and taken out of country to torture him, to get information out of him of who else is. And he's like, I have nothing to do with this group. This is not about, so basically it just shows, the persecution of Muslims. And she's like, this is my fault that this happened to him. I need to rescue him. So she ends up teaming up with some police officers no, it's not right. So she ends up teaming up with this guy from Pakistan who is part of the secret agency there in Pakistan. So he tells her, look, I can get your imam released. I can get him sent back to the States, but you have to do something for me first. You have to go undercover with this ISIS group, with Dick. And if you do that and you find out where their leader is, then you report back, then we'll release the imam. So she does it. And mayhem ensues. This is a ridiculously wonderful story. It's full of hijinks and just ridiculous scenarios, things that are just unbelievable. It is full-on satire about how the U.S. interferes in other countries, about how one of the reasons that we have ISIS and Dick in this story is because of the U.S. government interfering with other countries. So, like I said, it's satire. This is written, I should mention, this is written by a Canadian author, Zarqwa Nawaz, and she actually wrote this Canadian TV series called Little Mosque on the Prairie. I have seen a few episodes. It's very good. So anyways, so she goes, things happen, things get crazy. Her daughter ends up getting involved. Her husband gets involved. The CIA is involved. The police are. Anyways, it's bonkers. It's ridiculous. It goes over the top. This reminds me a little bit of Finlay Donovan is Killing It, where they're both writers. They both get involved in some scheme that they know nothing about, but they get involved with for one reason or another, either to protect people that they love or to rescue someone that, you know. So read it. It's good. I have to say, this is a 5-star read for me. I really loved it, and I'd highly, highly recommend that it gets read. Okay. All right, the next book that I read is, Ghosted in LA. And this is the second. I had already read the first one. This is the second one. It just continues this this girl living in this manor with these ghosts, helping them out. This one covers a lot of this one particular ghost who was a pop rock star who died. It's going through her life. It has a bit of a romance in it as well. Her friend visits her, and they have some misunderstandings, and they get in quite a big fight because she won't tell them what she's actually doing, where she's staying. She doesn't tell them about the ghost. So to her friend, it just seems that she's just kicking her out of her life and telling secrets. So that's where this one's at. I will continue to read. I think I have volume 3, so I'll be reading that. And lastly, for the reading by color, the purple books, is Nubia Real One. This is a absolutely fantastic graphic novel. I highly recommend it for anyone, like of all ages. It's beautifully written. Even if you don't know Wonder Woman, you don't have to. This is about Nubia, which is Wonder Woman's sister, and she is a young girl, a young teenager growing up with having to deal with police violence, having to deal with hiding her power that she has, that she doesn't know why she has it or where it came from. She's adopted, and her mother's, you know, are trying to protect her and tell her, listen, you have to hide the powers that you have, because otherwise, if people find out, we have to leave. And so she's been moving around a lot in her childhood. So she doesn't want that again. She's already been here a few years. She has a great circle of friends and friendship. But then something happens. So a store that she is in, a convenience store, ends up getting robbed while she is in there, and she ends up using her power to save someone there. And so this is the story of her dealing with, you know, the fact that her power becomes known and how to deal with her power, how to use it for good. Like I mentioned in this story, it deals with a lot of racial injustice, and it's a brilliant book, must be read, absolutely beautiful. And this leads me into my next reading series I will be doing, which I will be reading a bunch of Wonder Woman novels and graphic novels and history of Wonder Woman. And so this is my last read of the Purple series and my first read of the Wonder Woman series. So that kind of ties them both in together. So I'm looking forward to sharing that series with you. Let me just show you the pile that I have so far. I have a few more books around the house I need to gather for my Wonder Woman read, but I'll show you what I have so far. Here are some that I have already picked out for the read. Most of these are graphic novels. The top one is a novel by Leigh Bardugo. You've probably heard of her. You may have read some of her books or heard of some of her books. She wrote these 2 books, which are quite popular right now, Ninth House and Hellbent. So she did write these, as well as a few other books that I have. I don't remember where they all are, what they're all called. But anyways, so I'm going to be reading through those. One thing I did over the weekend is I got an airbrush, and I started experimenting on airbrushing the sides of my books just for fun to see how they turned out. I'm going to show you some of those. So first I'll show you the Wonder Woman one. This one was done yesterday. My daughter Laura helped with this one. She did an excellent job. I don't know if you can see it in this lighting, but it's very metallic, shiny. It's metallic and shiny, and beautiful. And because it's an airbrush, the pages did not stick together at all, not even a little bit. So I didn't have to take them apart page by page like I've seen people on other videos have to do when they painted the edges with the brush. So maybe because the airbrush just gives such a nice thin layer. So what I do is I put it between two, I got these cutting boards and I put them between the two cutting boards, and then I put clamps on them to hold it down nice and tight like that. And then I just airbrush the sides like that. I started off trying to mix my own acrylic paints. It didn't go so well because I couldn't get the right consistency. So the paint was, basically I spent all my time just cleaning out the airbrush over and over again. But I did get 2 of them done like that before I went and bought paints that were pre-mixed for an airbrush, which makes life much easier. Like, it was so much easier to do this one. Let me show you the other ones I've done. Here are the other ones that I did. So this one is Devil House. So this one I did red, and I tried to do some bats on it there. So I did some little bats. There we go. And this is Paul Bearer's Club. Now the green I did for this, I don't like for this particular book. I think this will look really good, this green with the writing retreat. So I think I'll do that. But for this one, I'm going to go over it with a darker green on the edges. I think that will look good. This green is just too bright for it. The writing retreat, this one will look really good for that. Reckless Girls, I did in a very pastel pink, which matches really nicely with the flowers on the front. Yeah, so that looks really good. And then I did 9 Perfect Strangers, and we did that one purple. And this one my daughter Laura also helped with. Well, she is my Laura, my wonderful Laura. So what a beautiful job. Beautiful. And again, pages do not stick together. I did not have to take any of these pages apart. Wonderful. Here's a few videos of some things I've been up to on Easter weekend. We went bowling. We took a nice walk, saw some graffiti. We went into Toronto to visit friends. We watched some bad movies. We have bad movie night like every Thursday. So what we do is we watch pretty much like 2 bad movies. It varies night per night. The one that we watched last Thursday was Roar, and that movie's bonkers. So it's about a real life guy who lived in Africa with just so many wild cats and lions, and his house was full of them. And anyways, I don't know. This movie gave me such anxiety. They actually credited the animals as writing because they were like, well, whatever they did, we just filmed and made a movie around it, basically. So they wrote the script. If you watch it, you're just going to get anxiety because it just has all these wild lions. Like Tiger King has nothing on this guy. Nothing. There's just lions and tigers, no bears, oh my, walking around everywhere, climbing all over you, jumping on you. Oh my gosh. Anyways, my heart was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this. The second one we watched was Funny Man, which is basically a drug-infused journey of absolute weirdness. And do I recommend it? No, I don't recommend any of these movies. I mean, these are bad movie nights, so they're bad movies. But if you love bad movies, then sure. So yeah, it was what we did the other night. We ordered food and watched bad movies with a great group of people, and it's just a really fun time. We do that probably every week, depending on people's schedules. What else did we do? We did a little bit of bowling. We had a nice dinner, Easter dinner at families. We got to see family. We went to see a movie, Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was really fun. We watched it in VIP, ordered food, had some drinks, watched a really fun movie. The Prince's Beard kind of reminds me of that movie where just a group of characters, a group of misfits, a group of very different people come together and the journeys that they take, and it was quite funny actually too. I enjoyed it. It was a sweet movie. What else did we do? Like I said, I did some painting, so I did some book edges. Got my nails done, got my teeth cleaned, took the dogs to the dog park. did some driving. It was just such nice weather. I just rolled down all the windows, put open my sunroof, and just drove. And it was beautiful. I had the dogs in the back, just driving, and it was really fun. It was just a nice time. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure of reading and activities. And by the way, I have been watching a lot of videos, and I do want to get some shout outs. So maybe I'll do another video where I get some shout outs to some great booktubers that I found. There's some established ones that I've been watching for quite some time that I would love to recommend. And there's also some new ones that I found that I would highly recommend that you all check out their channels, subscribe to them, and just give them the love from the community that they deserve. All right. Thank you so, so much. And we'll see you next time.